So on the line we have Sumaria Beaton from Bluff. And Sumaria, just tell us a bit about the organisation you work for and what part you play in it and what you're doing down in Bluff.
Hi Tina, nice to be on the show. So I have been running Awarua Synergy for going on 18 years now.
Wow.
And it all started from, I know, where's the time gone?
Yeah.
Lots of great things. But so it all began from kind of understanding the government programs that were going on all over the country, putting insulation and heating into people's homes. And I was kind of like, we're the coldest in the whole country. We kind of need it down here. So, it kind of all begun, and we've got a team. We're located in Invercargill, and we travel all over Southland and put good quality insulation into people's homes and heat pumps and wood burners.
And so is it there used to be some government subsidies for this stuff. Is there still government subsidies available?
Yes, there definitely is. So I think that's the best thing that probably government has invested in is this program. I think it has been highly successful over the years. But, with different governments, they chop and change the different rules and the subsidies. So, there's definitely subsidies available now all over New Zealand.
And so if you were like an elderly person and maybe you've had a split up and you've moved into or bought a smaller house or something like that and it's as cold as charity, what's the process that they go through to get their house insulated? And how much of a subsidy do they get and how do they pay it back if it is one of those sort of things?
Yeah, so the program that ICA run is the Warmer Kiwi Homes. So if you just look that up, either Google it and hopefully you can get a phone number, ring them, and then they will put you on to the service provider because there's a number of service providers all over the country.
Yep.
And the subsidy that they put in is 80% off your insulation. And sometimes there's also third-party funders that top that up. So here in Southland, we've got the Southland Warm Homes Trust who have a number of funders, because we're so organised down here, which I'm really proud of,
yep.
That, have got funding, and then we
So who are some of those funders?
So we have PowerNet,
yep.
We have Community Trust, we have all the councils involved.
And does Ngāi Tahu pay a part in that, or do they help their own people? Like do they help our own people?
Yeah, well, so currently Ngāi Tahu have put a fund together, so we've got a bit of a pilot happening down here in Southland and Mirihuku,
awesome.
And that's for Ngāi Tahu whānui.
Because I must admit, I've just had that question from a texter this morning, because I was talking about some of the stuff Ngāi Tahu's doing and whatever, and of course we've got a few people here who don't particularly like Māori, and so they're going, well, what are iwi doing for iwi? And so I was pretty sure that Ngāi Tahu was involved or was getting involved in this stuff, so that's really cool to hear that Ngāi Tahu is getting involved in it, and of course they're involved with the Community Trust too. They have representatives on that as well, so that's cool. So carry on, Sumari.
Also, I think throughout whānau order, I think that energy hardship and cold homes causing so much. So throughout the whānau order network, it's also beginning to take off. And I've been doing training with whānau order navigators all over South Island,
yep.
and also on the North Island doing training. So I think.
And so, what's the training involved, and what's the outcome?
Yeah, so the training, with my 18 years of experience and also just asking heaps of experts all over the show how this all works, I kind of do a whole training and talk about the whole house as a whole. So it's not just insulation, it's not just heating, there's also moisture. There's on average 20 to 40 litres of moisture that comes up from your underfloor in our old homes.
Yep.
And research has been done by brands to say that the average home in New Zealand holds about a tonne of moisture.
Wow.
Because of the accumulation over the years. And then you put on top of that the moisture that we as humans create. So an average family would create about 8 litres a day. So all that moisture is creating hard to heat homes as well as all the sickness.
Yep.
And it's costing us as taxpayers. So it's so important that people understand and learn this sort of stuff. And I think what I've noticed in industry is there's a lot of sales reps selling all different products that I'm just like, man, people have invested the money in the wrong areas in their home, and it's just quite sad, I think. But
so what are some of the things that you think that people invest in terms of products that are not actually are not worth the money? Is there any type? You don't have to name brands, but types of things.
So I suppose it's more like it is worth the money, but it's people do it in the wrong stages. So as soon as anyone asks me what I do, and then I sort of say, I do energy efficiency trainings as well, straight away they go, solar, double glazing is the best thing, it works, And I'm like, yes, it does, but there's a whole heap of other things that we can be doing before we invest in that. And I think a lot of people spend money in the wrong areas, and like having 3 layers of curtains is going to be way better than 1 layer, as well as pelmets. If you've got pelmets in your home, keep them. Don't get rid of them, because that airflow goes in behind the window and cools off. Yeah. And it creates a cold draft. So I don't know if you've ever been in a home where it's not even windy outside, and then you can feel this cold draft. That's what's happening. All your warm air is going in behind the curtain and creating cold draft, which costs us more to heat our homes.
It's a simple thing, isn't it? Just like that. Boom.
Yep, totally. And that's what I love about this and what I've learned. So I'm able to kind of just simplify things, because I think we get a bit too technical in New Zealand, I think, and complex. And I don't know if it's just...
Well, you don't come from a family that's technical. You come from a family that is incredibly practical. Your mum, Anna, would be one of the most practical people I know.
Yes, and she's definitely drummed that into me over the years,
I hope you've inherited her cooking skills as well.
No.
Oh, really?
I did not inherit that.
What a failure.
I'm the worst cook.
I always remember Anna, and she'll hate me for telling this, but it's such a good story. One of the family members won lotto. We're not going to talk about who or why or how, but they ended up going overseas, and Anna's thing that she packed was her penny. I will never forget that. She goes everywhere with her apron. She is an extraordinary cook.
And she tries to give them as birthday gifts and everything else. And, it's just like, I did not get those genes. And I've been telling her and my Auntie Karen to go on the cooking shows on TV. I'm like,
they're fabulous.
And you have to be great entertainment, but they haven't quite thought that was a good idea.
No. And, I mean, she's just a wonder. And she's a social worker now. And she does a very, very good job, because her practical and no-nonsense approach to things, but her big heart has changed lives. And, here's a shout-out to Anna, your mum. But now let's get back to the energy side of things. So in terms of how many houses do you get through a year?
We probably do between 500 to 600 homes just with insulation, and then same with heating. Like, it does... People think, we've been doing this for 18 years, surely you've got the whole of Southland done. And it's like, no, there's about almost 50-odd thousand homes. It's, we've probably only reached about 12,000 homes. And if you think, like, insulation...
12,000 is a big number, Samaria. You'll have made a difference, because you'll have been targeting the ones that most need it.
Yes, definitely. Our most vulnerable in the community. And even, I think there's still people out there that saying, I don't need a subsidy, I don't deserve it. And it's like, you've paid taxes. Like, this is for everyone. And I always emphasise that. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, let's get as many homes done, because, it will last. And then the next people that shift in there might be tenants that can't afford to turn on the heaters.
And it must reduce your power bill too, because that's the one thing. Older people have this thing about power bills. I know my mum does, and bless her, like, my mum is very, very good with her money. Always has been, and she saves money on the pension, but her big ogre or two big things are rates and power bills, because it's hard to manage the rates because they're so big, and the power bills because it's hard to get them down, and so everyone hates their power bills.
I totally agree with your mum. Like, even when I go to council and I put in submissions, I'm always thinking of the elderly with the rates. Like, it's just crazy. They work all their lives, and then that, I could go on about that topic for a while. But coming back to power bills, you're so right. Like, a lot of our elderly will turn off the heating and really conserve, and they'll be like,
go to bed early.
Home. Yeah, and it's kind of like, the thing that people don't understand is, if you are not heating your bedroom, if it's hitting if it's hitting 14 degrees or less, that's when you've got respiratory problems. But if you're going down to 12 degrees or less, that's when you've got risk of heart disease, because that's when your blood thickens, and that's what causes, our heart problems. So I think people just think it's like it's just respiratory or keeping warm, but there's actually like all these consequences of, having a really cold home and the way that we operate our homes.
Yeah. Hey, look, that's absolutely fascinating. And just in general, you still live in Bluff, or you're living in Invercargill these days?
Yep. Still live in Bluff.
How's Bluff going? I see the oysters are reasonably good this year. I keep an eye on Christian Fife and his Facebook feed to look out whether he's got a free feed from somebody this week and how good they are. And he's a bugger for putting up really nice photos of Bluff oysters. And I think he should be penalised for that and told off. But just how is Bluff going?
Yeah, Bluff, oysters are good. There are lots of cars still around, lots of tourists coming into the town. Like, even years ago, I remember driving around the point, you'd see hardly no cars. And now you drive around there, it's like, whoa, you can't even almost turn around, It is a really busy town, and we've had beautiful weather. Like, we've had really calm, sunny weather. So
I have heard. Stewart Island's run out of water a couple of times, or got bloody close to it over the Christmas period, I understand. And so the cafes, so you've got the one round the point, you've got Hazy's. Is there other ones that are developing, or is there a look to see what else can be done around that?
I'm not up on the play on that, but I do know that there is another one. There's a real estate one that has a wee cafe that apparently is quite nice as well, but I've never been there, which is bad, isn't it? I'm always in town.
Well, I mean, Bluff has changed a lot. I mean, I was down there probably 3 months ago, I suppose, and came back on the ferry from Stewart Island, and I was quite impressed with I thought the town was looking reasonably good. There's a lot of very, very, very high-end houses around the point. Because people who love being able to wake up every day and look at the sea, which is me. I've traded that for a mountain, which is pretty cool, but I do miss that view. And there are some houses around the point there that just have absolutely breathtaking views. Yeah, no, definitely. And then there's, I think a lot of the other houses that are really run down, there's a lot of people from out of town kind of moving in and doing those up. So, I mean, we've got a housing crisis as well that's happening here in Bluff. And what about the crime? We've all been talking about crime today. How's the crime there?
Oh, it's still bad. The Bluffies pages always has someone stolen something, or, there's always,
I have to admit, though, I watched that Bluffies page. They tend to work out pretty quickly who it is, and obviously sort of deal with it with the authorities in a pretty quick way. So they've got quite a tight network around, my car got broken into and I pretty much know who it is, so I'm going to have a talk to his mother type stuff. So there seems to be a bit of that going on. Yeah.
No, which is still good that we've still got that small community kind of stuff happening.
Yeah. Hey, look, that's good, Sumaria. And look, thanks very much for putting your hand up on my Facebook page when I said, hey, I want to have a talk to some people who's interested. Because I think you've probably offered some really, really sound practical advice for people thinking about their homes. And there'll be people who are listening here today who are living in older homes and pelmets. I think that's just a really simple thing. And the way to access some of the subsidies and stuff, which should be a good thing for people in colder houses, especially if you're older. And I think people like you, I take my hat off to you, actually. 18 years is a long time, and your knowledge bank is incredibly valuable to your community, and you're sticking with it. And I commend you, because there'll be new stuff you learn all the time, so your job's is always going to change. And as you said, the governments change every day, and they change the rules, and you have to keep up with them to make sure you're still delivering to the people. And it's good to hear that Ngaitahu's well invested in it now too. So thanks very much for your time. Say good day to your mum. I suspect she's probably listening anyway. I'll catch up with you next time I'm down.